Hey, those baby ducklings have outgrown their brooder space, so it's time to put them in the pen with the adult ducks. See if they get used to each other. Stay tuned. Hey folks, welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. This is the livestock series, and I categorize my shows into series. Livestock series, gardening series, backyard mechanic series, homestead building projects. You'll catch them all along the way, and that way it's easy for me to categorize them in groups. So it's easier for you guys to find if you're looking for something. So today we're focusing on the baby ducklings. Remember when I got them, they were so cute and yellow. They're not so yellow anymore. They're getting their feathers out. They're outgrowing their little brooder area I put together for them. The first brooder was the box, and the second brooder was this pen area, and then now it's time to turn them into the pen with the one adult duck I have remaining and see if we can get something going on here. Yeah, let's try this. Okay, I've got to do some strategizing first before I can move those ducks. I've got to create two separate environments for the geese, the ducks, and the turkeys. Right now I just have the quack shack, but I need to accommodate the turkeys. Originally, I had my two turkeys in here, in the quack shack. But I looked at it and looked at the size of turkeys and how many turkeys I've got. I'm gonna have to build a bigger facility for the turkeys, but that's no problem. Right now we're focusing on the ducks. I'll focus on the turkeys in another episode. But right now, I decided on this side of the quack shack, I'm going to go ahead and build an open pen for the ducks to keep them separate from the geese, because the geese right now are brooding, and hopefully, because that duck, he's a little aggressive with the babies, so the baby geese. So we're going to keep him locked up in here and get him used to the other ducklings, because one of them, or maybe both of them, are going to be his wife. So I got a boy duck and two girl ducks in there, so I got a total of two boys and two girls. I may have to separate them and I've got another panel to make two separate pens for the ducks when it comes breeding season. That way where they're not competing with each other, and I can keep their genetics separate. So for this bad boy, I've got to get in there and catch him, put him in the stall of the barn and hold him while I'm disassembling some fencing here and moving it to the other side, because this area right here is my future building. I'll cover that in the next episode, but I need to move this pen. So let's get that done, get him caught, get him transferred, and get him relocated. I'm going to go ahead and take off my coat. Now this should be easier, wrangling ducks. Years ago I wrangled emus, 36 of them. That was an interesting story to tell. So let's get him caught and get him into the barn. Stay tuned for the circus. Okay, in the barn you go. I bet you he feels picked on. Well, ain't that a switch? Because he's always out picking on that baby goose and picking on that one female goose. I gotta take this end piece off. That, my friends, is a snap together duck pen. Real easy, just snap it together. These are totes that I put together back when I had livestock over at Acorn Acres. I had this stock panel set up, and I had 4 pens, and I had 4 of these. They're just totes I turned upside down and put on a wood plywood base and lifted it off the ground with a couple of 2x4s. That way the ducks and the geese, whoever's nesting in there, can keep their eggs off the ground. And because sometimes we get water runoff here, and it gets to the eggs and it kills the embryo. So this is a safer bet of putting that bottom on there and lifting it off the ground so the water can drain underneath of it. I hope to sometime put a curtain drain across the back there so I don't have water runoff coming through here. It goes around and then down to the pond. But those are my nesting boxes for ducks and geese, and I've had quite the success with them in the past. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up this pool, and then we'll introduce the ducklings, and then we'll go get Mr. Quackers and introduce him. While that is filling, we'll go ahead and grab the stones out of this pool, transfer them to the other one, and then empty this pool out. Okay, I gotta fasten it to the building somehow until I get the right fasteners for this. So I'm just gonna go do this and fasten it just like that. I bet you're wondering how I'm getting in here. You just release that top hook, spread it, and climb in. That's where I'm going to release the ducks to. Let's go get ducks. Awkward. Better. And what are you gonna do about it, huh? Okay, they seem to be enjoying it a little bit. This one's got awful bad hips. What the heck? Look at the hips on that one. That's a mutation. Oh, that's bad. That is bad. I don't know if that's a boy or a girl. If it's a boy, no problem. But if it's a girl, well, I still got an extra girl. Seems to be healthy, but those hips and bumblefoot, and there's another melody that is prevalent in breeds. It's prevalent in breeds that grow fast. Now, I've had this experience over several years raising this breed. Every once in a while you'll get a duckling, whether you buy it from the feed store or they hatch it. There's a recessive gene or genetic mutation in there about they get like that. That's not pleasant to watch the duck stumble around. Well, all I can do is give it a pleasant life as possible, and hopefully, if I detect the big duck is going to start picking on it because of its disability, I'll have to separate him, put another barrier between the two, which I have another panel I could do that with. This pen here is 16 feet by 10 feet. For these ducklings, that's suitable enough. When I divide this is actually bigger than the other pens that I had, because when you take the two 16-foot panels, or take four 16-foot panels, and you make a complete square and put one down the middle, then you've got two 8 by 16 pens for your livestock, for small poultry and stuff. So this is a nice temporary snap together place, and this protects them from predators. That way they're able to be out here and safe. Right now I'm letting the pond dry up, and as soon as the pond is completely dried up, I'm going to go down to Acorn Acres, grab the tractor, bring it down here, and scoop it out. I got permission from the owner to be able to bring the tractor down here and use it here for a little bit while I'm scooping that out. Now, all that silt, I figured I'm just going to put out in my front yard and kind of level up my front yard a little bit, and then put some soil over the top of it and plant grass out there. I think that's all I'm doing up front with a few shrubs. I don't want to go too much out front because of the deer. It's really exposed to the deer. So if I grow any shrubs, it'll have to be deer-resistant varieties. Well, enough of the chat. Let's go get Mr. Quack. Completely upset your day. hope they're safe enough from predators out here. They got more area to get out and get exercise. Yeah, I'm definitely not happy about that one's hips. Hey buddy, there's your wife. I know she looks a bit young, but there she is. Hey, haven't you ever heard birds of a feather flock together? Yeah. Go introduce yourself. Be nice. Hey, running down it. Well, that's it with some modifications to the Quack Shack. Yeah, I'm just the duck pen out here. I can't expand back. I don't want to expand that way anymore, but I can go a whole 16 feet back, clear back to the fence, and make 4 big pens back there. That way the geese, and I can even go behind the Quack Shack to make some other pens. That way the geese have brooding pens, their own separate ones, and the ducks have their own separate one during breeding season, because they tend to get really aggressive with each other during breeding season. So I feel that the breeding pens are absolute if the animals don't have a nice, quiet, secure location to go to set on their eggs undisturbed. So I'm going to have to create that. There's just too much activity out here on the farm for them to be able to have that quietness that they need. The Quack Shack, the reason for the Quack Shack is during the winter months, they can have shelter and are not out in the freezing snow, and they have access to water at all times because the water typically does not freeze inside the Quack Shack, and everything else freezes, and they can go days without water. I want to be able to have my livestock be comfortable. They seem to be happy, but not when they're raising their babies. They're really protective. I get a lot of hissing from the geese, and if the babies weren't around, they'd be following me around like a puppy dog. But that's just the way nature is. So now you know something a little bit about this particular breed of duck. This is the Pekin. Some people pronounce it Pekin. It's Pekin, Pekin duck. Originated from Peking, China, from the canals there. They are a variation of a mallard duck. They lost their coloring over the centuries as a result of during the while they were occupying the canals in China, the barges of rice would come up and sometimes lose their load, and the ducks would go and eat the rice. And they get on this constant subsistence of rice, and eventually adjust their genetic code for color, and they end up coming out white. Yeah, the pigment is a variation or a mutation from a duck's over centuries on a constant diet of rice, and their size too. These are flightless. Mallards are flighted birds because they have smaller breastbones. These have great big breastbones. They're just too heavy of a duck to fly, so they make a great domestic duck. For the most part, they're pretty gentle, good-natured. I typically don't have any problems with them. Every once in a while, I get characteristics of a Franken duck that comes out, and those you want to cull from your flock because you don't want that genetic code passing down. He's been so far so good. It's just he hasn't been killing. I had a couple of ducks that got on a killing binge. They went and started killing other animals, other goslings, chicks, ducks, chickens. They were just became brutes. So I had to, well, they had to be culled because you just don't want that genetics in your production. Future plans of the Quack Shack. I'm going to make an opening on this side, seal the opening on that side. That is where the aviary goes to. I'm keeping the aviary for the turkeys, and I'll be adding another building on the other side of the aviary for the turkeys. And I'm also expanding the aviary back about 8 to 10 feet because I have enough parts to be able to move it back. And then I might just make it 16 by 16, like these pens here. And that way the turkeys have plenty of room to move around. Yeah. So those are future plans as far as what I'm going to be doing with turkeys. But yeah, the Quack Shack, we're going to keep this building as the Quack Shack. Stay tuned for the building of the... Now, I had my coworkers help me with naming the turkey shelter. So we came up with the Gobbler Gallery. That will be the name of the new building. You know how I am. I like to name all my buildings. The Bunny Bungalow, the Bee Barn, the Quack Shack. And actually, Matt Rainey from Homestead Rescue gave the name of my barn the Goatel. So I think we'll just stick with the Goatel in honor of Matt. And then my mountain, while they were here, I was trying to figure out a name for my mountain. And one morning we got up and began filming, and I saw the clouds kind of drifting over the mountain. And I looked up at it, and I was looking at Misty, and I saw the mountain. It's like, you know, I think I'll just name my mountain Mount Misty, or Misty Mountain. And I told her I named it after her. So, but it was because of the mist too. So that's the name of it. Maybe I'll get a signpost up with little directionals going every which way telling you what's what and what's their name stuff. Yeah, I'm eccentric. I admit it. I'm enjoying it. I don't care if you're not, but that's just the way I am, having fun homesteading. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. This is Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. We're a frugal homestead tucked high in the Cascade Ranges of the Pacific Northwest. Please stay tuned to more videos. You can do that by subscribing and clicking that bell icon. That'll alert you to new videos as I upload them. Also, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and click that share button. Sharing my videos on your social media platforms really helps out my channel greatly. Hey, we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.